long night for Boris. North Shropshire by-election intensified PM's scandal that sent Tories to hell. Boris Johnson faces a nervous night awaiting the result of the North Shropshire by-election as the Conservatives brace for a very significant drop in votes. The election was triggered by the Owen Paterson sleaze row after his resignation over a botched attempt to shield him from a 30-day suspension. He was found to have breached lobbying rules for two companies paying him £100,000 a year. North Shropshire has been a Tory constituency since 1983, but Tory insiders revealed it had been very tough in an incredibly competitive by-election. A report in a national newspaper suggests Mr. Johnson attended the event with about 20 civil servants and advisers on the 15th of May last year. The claims come just hours before the crucial by-election results for North Shropshire are announced following the resignation of Owen Paterson. Mr. Johnson joined No. 10 staff for a party in Downing Street during the first lockdown in May last year, sources have alleged, raising questions about whether there was a culture of flouting the rules over a number of months. The Prime Minister spent about 15 minutes with staff at the alleged social gathering on the 15th of May 2020, telling one aide inside No. 10 that they deserved a drink for beating back coronavirus, The Independent has claimed. Sources claimed about 20 staff drank wine and spirits and ate pizza following a press conference on that day, some in offices inside No. 10 and others going into the garden. Some staff stayed drinking until late into the evening, they alleged. Rules at the time allowed only two people from different households to meet outside, at a distance of 2 meters. The 15th of May gathering, at which some aides allegedly stayed drinking until late in the evening, followed a COVID press conference at 5 p.m., led that day by Hancock. The sources said Hancock was also seen at the event, which was described as having a celebratory feel given the initial loosening of some restrictions and the good weather in London that day. While sources claimed both Johnson and Hancock were present for a short time when staff and aides were drinking, there is no suggestion they drank themselves, or stayed late. Asked about Johnson's comment about beating back the virus, and his presence at the alleged party at which No. 10 staff were drinking and socializing, his official spokesperson said, "In the summer months Downing Street staff regularly use the garden for some meetings." On the 15th of May 2020 the Prime Minister held a series of meetings throughout the afternoon, including briefly with the then Health and Care Secretary and his team in the garden following a press conference. The Prime Minister went to his residence shortly after 7 p.m. A small number of staff required to be in work remained in the Downing Street garden for part of the afternoon and evening. Asked about Johnson's comment about beating back the virus, and his presence at the alleged party at which No. 10 staff were drinking and socializing, his official spokesperson said, "In the summer months Downing Street staff regularly use the garden for some meetings." They added, on the 15th of May 2020 the Prime Minister held a series of meetings throughout the afternoon, including briefly with the then Health and Care Secretary and his team in the garden following a press conference. They ended, the Prime Minister went to his residence shortly after 7 p.m. A small number of staff required to be in work remained in the Downing Street garden for part of the afternoon and evening. A spokesperson for Hancock described the source's claims as not true. After the press conference, which finished at approximately 5:53 p.m., Matt debriefed his own team, then went to the Downing Street garden to debrief the Prime Minister. He left Downing Street at 6:32 p.m. and went back to the Department for Health and Social Care, Hancock's spokesperson said. At the press conference, where he was joined by Jenny Harries, at the time the Deputy Chief Medical Officer for England, Hancock delivered a message of caution. The opening statements noted that England remained in the second highest level of COVID alert, 4, with 10,700 people in hospital with the virus and 384 coronavirus deaths recorded that day. Voters in North Shropshire have been going to the polls today in a by-election triggered by the resignation of Owen Paterson. The safe Conservative seat has never been lost by the party and the Tories have a 23,000 majority. Despite this, the Liberal Democrats are targeting another by-election upset after their victory in the Chesham and Amersham contest earlier this year. The party finished third behind Labour in North Shropshire at the general election.